Hi everyone, this is Ashley. I just wanted to give you a quick update before we listen to this week's podcast. We conducted these interviews in June and July as part of the promo for Needed Killin. It is now late August and the show has closed. It went wonderfully well, a better reception than we could have possibly imagined, and we're so thankful that the community was so receptive to our message and to the humor, and it just was a dream come true. But we kind of got a little bit behind, and we weren't able to share all the interviews before the show actually ran. However, we really love the interviews that we did, and we wanted to share them with all of you all. So we will be sharing them over the next few weeks, the last 6 or so interviews that we did with the main cast from Needed Killin. So there you have it. Enjoy. Hi, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Bree.
We're the PR team
behind the Theatre Downstream.
For our 6th season, we wanted to get to know the people behind the characters. We wanted to get real. Today, I got to sit down with Candy Thomas, the actress who plays Carole Forrester in Needed Killin.
Candy talked about being an introvert in the extrovert acting world, her best tips for memorizing lines, and how she would feel if she got the chance to act on Broadway.
Well, welcome to Getting Real.
Thank you.
And what is your name? Introduce yourself to us.
I'm Candy Thomas.
And what character do you play?
I play Carole Forrester in this play.
What is your day job?
I am a literacy coach, or sometimes we call it an instructional coach, at a middle school in Oldham County.
Nice. How long have you been there?
I've worked as an instructional coach in Oldham County since they first brought that initiative there. In this particular school, this is only the start of my 2nd year, so I had kind of a fresh new start in this building last year, which has been really nice. I'm really excited about the transition and my new site. So
nice. Can you tell me a little bit about what a literacy coach actually does?
Literacy, of course, encompasses everything. You know, you think about disciplinary literacy. So some people, when they hear that term literacy coach, they think that I work with just reading and writing. And of course, it is reading and writing and speaking and listening, but it's in every discipline. So it's like, how do I think and act and write as a mathematician or as a social scientist? So basically, I get to work with all the teachers in the building. Actually, I work with teachers more so than with students, but I go into like their classrooms and work with them and their students, or we'll collaborate together. I do a lot of professional development. I also get to collaborate with the other coaches across the district, and we'll lead professional development sessions for everybody. So I get to work with high school and elementary people as well. So it's really nice.
So you kind of teach the teachers.
I'm a partner with them. I like to think about it as a collaboration. I get to work with them, and we grow together. I get to work with them a lot, and I love that. I'm so fortunate.
Do you work with any students one-on-one?
I do, but I don't have my own classroom.
Okay.
Like I will do like book clubs, or I will work with students sometimes to individualize or to, yes, but I don't have my own class.
Okay. What do you feel is the best part about it, or what's the most interesting part about it?
It's funny because I have this probably a life philosophy more than just a professional philosophy, but I really pride myself on having a growth mindset. Like I always want to be a lifelong learner. And so working with all these wonderful people and kids, I get the chance to grow and to learn all the time, while I hopefully am also helping the students to learn and grow. And so like that to me is just like such a blessing, and to again get to work with such great people and to feel like you're getting to help make a difference. But I take that into acting too. It's funny because that's one of the things that I love about acting, is that chance to grow. So it's just kind of, I think, a life philosophy.
Very nice. Is it your dream job?
Well, I really love it. If you're going to take me back to like, you know, my young ideal fantasy job, no, probably not.
What was it when you were younger?
Well, I mean, even now, if somebody wanted to like, you know, send me to Hollywood and let me do movies all the time or be on a Broadway stage, you know, I'd certainly go.
Would you do Broadway?
Yes, I would.
Would you be intimidated?
No.
No?
No.
I would be so intimidated.
Oh, I'd be excited. I mean, I'm sure I'd be nervous. I'm always nervous. Yeah. But, if I had a chance to do Broadway, I'd totally do Broadway.
Is there a Broadway show that you wish you could do?
You know this, Ashley, but probably our listeners don't. I can't sing. So, like, one of the things that I would love more than anything is, like, one of those sad frustrations is that I can't sing. So I'm like, I would love to be in a Broadway musical, but that's never going to happen. So
I'm suspicious about this because I've never heard you really sing. So
there's
you have
a reason for that.
You have a very nice speaking voice. So I have a philosophy that someone with a nice speaking voice, because Laura always said, I can't sing. And then she sang and it was beautiful.
Yeah,
so,
Laura has a great voice.
Yeah, but she said for a long time she couldn't sing.
Well, she was wrong.
I agree.
I'm not. No, I can't sing. In fact, at one point I tried to take like 3 or 4 lessons, and it did not help.
Oh, did they tell you?
No, I mean, she tried to be really positive, but I got cut from choir. I tried out for choir in 7th grade, and they told me no.
No.
So
That's sad.
yeah, I know. Thank you for the empathetic face you're giving me. Yeah.
So is that what you wanted to be when you grew up? Did you want to be a singer, dancer, actor?
Well, my dream actually was always to be a writer.
Oh, yes.
But when I discovered acting, like I just loved acting.
Have you ever tried to write a play?
A play? Mm-hmm. No.
You should. Because as much as you love acting, you already have a lot of the innate knowledge. You probably don't realize that you know as much as you know. And you're a very good writer. I've read a lot of her stuff, and I very much like it.
Thank you.
You should maybe try with a short play or something.
Oh, thank you for that. I haven't written in a long time. That's one of those. I was thinking about that. It's funny how I can't give up acting.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's just in my blood. But for whatever reason, writing is so hard.
It is very hard.
It's so hard. And
Yes.
sometimes it's almost daunting to begin. Like you can't make
Yes.
yourself start because it's just such a huge project. So it's been like years since I've written anything big. It's kind of sad because I could see myself just letting it go forever.
I really like the book that you wrote.
Thank you.
I think even self-publishing, just to get out there and encourage yourself.
Well, I appreciate that. Coming from an amazing writer is quite a
Well,
compliment.
somebody that keeps plugging away at it. I don't know about amazing, but I think that I write some good stuff and I think I write some crap stuff. But I think that's okay because, for example, Agatha Christie is one of my absolute favorite authors. You know that. And she wrote a lot of great stuff, but she wrote a lot of crap stuff. And she thinks it too, and other people think it. There's some books are stronger than other books. They're all good, but some are stronger than the others. And then we have someone like Harper Lee, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird and did this wonderful book and then got intimidated and stopped. And I feel like if she had just gotten over that intimidation and kept going, she could have been like Agatha Christie. Okay, so maybe your second book would be crap, but then the third book might be wonderful, and who knows how many masterpieces we missed out on because she stopped with the first one. Right. She didn't really stop. I guess she stopped with her second one because the one that they published after her death.
Does that come the Watchmen or something like that?
Yeah, I can't go tell the Watchmen or something like that. Was the first version of To Kill a Mockingbird, I think.
Was it?
I think so.
I
I might be wrong on that. But then she went back and did To Kill a Mockingbird, and then she never wanted this published, and that's a whole nother conversation. But they ended up publishing it after her death, and it was okay. From what I heard, I didn't read it because she didn't want it published. So that was just my respect to her.
That's good.
What is your family situation?
Well, I am married to a wonderful man named Kirk, and I have 2 great kids, both in college, Kennedy and Camden.
And what are they majoring in?
Kennedy is going to be a physical therapist, and Camden is a marketing major.
Oh, nice. So Kennedy can help you on Broadway if you sprain an ankle, and then Camden can be your publicist.
Okay, when I pulled the
I do
muscle
know.
during our fight scene,
Yes.
that... Am I allowed to say
Sure,
fight
you can.
scene?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kennedy met me and did an evaluation to tell me that I had not, whatever it's called, torn my Achilles.
Thank goodness for that.
Yes. So, yes, it's already paid off, right? I mean,
Yes, it saved you a bunch of money there. So what does Kirk do?
Kirk is a 5th grade teacher, elementary teacher. He's always been at either the 4th or 5th grade level. It's funny. He's amazing. He's wonderful. And he's also a cross-country coach. He's coached at Oldham County High School for years, and he's also an amazing runner and coach. So,
But he is not an actor.
No, has no desire to ever step foot on a stage.
Does he wonder at this lifestyle of yours, or is he supportive, or what is his feelings on this community theater world or movie acting world?
It's funny because I think it's a healthy thing in a marriage. We've talked about this. This is our philosophy. Others may disagree, but we think it's a nice thing in a marriage when you each can have your own interest. And so his, of course, is running. He is one of those. He's so talented. Like, he routinely runs the mini marathon and finishes in the top 100 or top 75. I mean, he's gotten a number of their little pieces of Hadley pottery to commemorate his achievements. But he's got his running, and I have my acting, and we both really appreciate each other's talents and the time we put into it. Now, I will say, It's funny because we also like to spend a lot of time together. So, like, there are those times when it's a little like, honey, rehearsal again. Or, I usually try to space my plays apart.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially the last
this
few
has
months.
been rough. Yeah, because I did 2 back-to-back, which I normally never do.
Mm-hmm.
And these just, closed it one day and rehearsal the next.
I felt bad about that.
Well, but I had prepared him because, I had told him I knew these auditions were coming up way in advance, and the timing just worked out that way. These are 2 plays that I would really, really like to audition for. And
so as he said, okay, you have to take the rest of the year off?
No.
Oh, that's good.
No, but I guarantee if I said I was going right into another play, he might be wanting to talk to me a little bit.
Take you aside. How long have you guys been married?
Oh, gosh. Years.
Okay.
Let's just say that.
Okay. So years. And in our play, Ruth, the character of Ruth, says that, kind of jokingly, she says that boundaries is the secret to a successful marriage. Do you guys have your own secret? Is it what you said, having your own interests? Do you think that contributes?
It's interesting because I don't think about it in terms of boundaries in our marriage. I don't know. I think we're fortunate. I mean, we appreciate that we have a really strong relationship and we feel fortunate. And so I don't know if I think about the term boundaries as much as I think there's respect and value for each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go back to acting for just a second. What brought you to this world? What is your origin story in the world of acting?
We did not have an acting program in my school when I was
High school or
growing up.
college?
High school.
Okay.
It kind of started. We were very rural and we just didn't have it. We didn't have a lot of programs. They had musicals. So I couldn't sing.
Oh.
Maybe this is where that started. So we would have musicals, and I could never audition, and I wanted to, and I played clarinet and saxophone. And so
nice.
I would often be in the orchestra, and I would play, and I would want to be up there on stage. So then it was my senior year that they started a drama program, and they did a straight play, and I
Nice.
got the lead.
What?
And I loved it.
What show was it?
Curtain Going Up.
What's that about?
I played a teacher.
Nice.
And that was, we had it was romantic. The male lead, we, fell in love with each other somehow in the midst of trying to put on this zany play. So it was just a cute little romantic comedy. But it was fun, and that kind of put the bug in me. And then when I went to college at Western, I was an English major, but theater was kind of part of my minor. And so I had the opportunity to take some theater courses, and that just kind of fed the interest even more.
So that's pretty interesting. Your first play that you tried out for, you got the lead.
I did.
That is pretty cool. All right, just so everybody knows, my cat Scotty is now joined the conversation, so we're going to hear his signature breathing. He's been walking around and sneezing, so you might hear that earlier. He's just, if we don't let him in here, he will cry, which we've tried that. Oh, no, sir. No, sir, no, sir.
Make his presence felt.
He does. Do you have a favorite role so far?
I have several roles that I've loved, but since it was so recent, the role that comes to mind, I had the chance to play Mrs. Manningham in Gaslight just recently, and I absolutely loved that role.
What was it about it that you liked?
It was so challenging. I mentioned that I really like the opportunity to grow, and that role pushed me.
Oh, yes. It was very dramatic. She was very good in it. Bree and I got to see her.
Oh, thank you. But it was interesting because, they talk about you bring yourself to every character, and she was so unlike me, especially upon the first read. I was like, this woman goes against everything I believe in. She should stand up for herself. She's being weak. This is not how she should act. I had to find her motivations and think about the context and her situation and the time period. And then try to make her believable, and to think about what she needed and wanted at the different places through that arc. And it was just powerful. And of course I had, great coaching and working with that group of people. It was just a really good experience.
Yeah. Watching it, I had read the play many, many years ago. And then watching it, I was struck by how similar Mrs. Manningham was to our character of Luetta. They were separated by many, many years, but they were very, very similar. So I thought it was interesting for you. You've spent a spring and a summer with emotional abuse, pretty much. One play after another.
That's true.
Do you see any comparisons or contrasts between the two plays?
Definitely. Going back again to context and time period, I mean, it's interesting how different society and expectations and what's acceptable and the role of the woman or what the woman is supposed to do, that it affects their behavior and also how everybody else treats them within both plays. And it's very, very different.
Was that categorized as a melodrama?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes. But to go from a place where the character was very powerless and then managed to take the power, but it was only with, well, now I'm sitting here thinking this through. It was only with the help of an outsider, somebody who like kind of gave that support, that she actually kind of came into her power.
He came and gave her validation.
That's true.
Which is really important to sufferers of emotional abuse because she thought it was true. And then when this outsider came, I think your play explored it a little differently. Our play has a group of friends who don't confront their friend and say, this is what your life is like. But this outsider came in and said, you are correct. He is doing this to you. And it was like this freedom that you had through validation. And I think that was a big difference. It was just a different take on it.
That's very true. But in both cases, had it not been for outsiders or the support of other people being there, you would not have had the resolution that you get.
No. You would not. You are a self-proclaimed introvert, as am I. And a lot of times people will say, how can you be introverted or shy in real life and yet get on stage and do all these crazy things? What is your answer to people who say that?
Well, it's interesting, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way, but I would guess there are so many of us that are on stage are the same way. It's because we can control it. When we are on stage, we know exactly what's going to happen, and we know how people will react to us.
Yes.
And we also have the freedom to act and behave in ways we would never do it in real life because, again, we know how it will be perceived, what reaction we'll get, how people will view it, and then we get that affirmation. We get the claps, we get the applause, we get the laughter, and we get that immediate feedback. And those are all things that are very valuable to somebody who's shy and introverted. And so, as an educator, I can stand up and I can deliver, professional development to a room full of 100 adults, but if I go into a theater group and we're sitting in the audience and there are 7 of us, I'm feeling a little bit like the outsider and I don't know people and, I'm shy in a social situation. But
see, I could never do the stand up in front of people and deliver a presentation. It's difficult for me to even talk to you guys as a director and give notes. I can feel my face flushing and I stutter a lot because I'm uncertain.
I would never have guessed that.
Oh, definitely. And I don't like to speak off the cuff. Not at all. So even giving notes, I will stutter through them because I'm a little nervous about what am I going to say next time? Are people going to think I sound stupid or I don't know what I'm doing? Basic public speaking is not my thing.
But wait, when I present, I am prepared and it's again controlled.
True.
It's
That's
not
true.
off the cuff.
That's true.
And so that's probably why when you have your notes and you have your text in front of you,
because you see what side of the
easier.
interview I'm on, right? But yeah, you're right. It's the introversion is the control. That's exactly right. If you say this, you know what the reaction is going to be. And in real life, if I say something to you that maybe will hurt your feelings and I don't intend to, I don't know what you're going to say. Maybe
I'm pairing things that shouldn't go together. Maybe this is just my inference here. But I think a lot of times when we're introverted, we're also pleasers.
Yes.
And so it's again, we know that we're going to get the result on stage. But if I say something, I don't know how it's going to be perceived by somebody else. Maybe it's not going to please. Maybe they're not going to like that. Maybe they're not going to like me.
Okay, well, let's kind of transition into our current show, which is He Needed Killin. Do you have a favorite line or scene from the show? It doesn't have to be yours, or it can be yours, your characters.
It's interesting because I know the other actors will say things like, Amelia makes me laugh, and when this happens, I crack up. I never get to see Amelia. She is behind me all the time. And so that's one of the reasons why I asked. I'm like, we are going to film this, right? Because otherwise I'm missing half the play.
Yes.
Laura Beth makes me laugh a lot. She has some certain costumes or certain scenes that you know what I'm talking about that are very funny to me.
I think her entrance in that costume is very funny.
Yeah, great. She's got some great sight gags, and then of course she's just funny.
She is.
The way she acts.
Yes.
She's got great mannerisms. She really brings her character to life. And then Michelle does all these little asides beside me. It's not a particular line, but she's just always in my ear, and it makes me want to laugh, like personally, not just as the character, but as Candy. I just like want to giggle at her all the time, and I have to look annoyed at her a lot.
Yes.
And that's a little challenging because I just love her. She just makes me smile.
She is really taken to this because this is her second role, first lead, pretty much. She's second billed, and it's her second show. So she's very natural. And it's Juliana's first show with lines.
Which is hard to believe.
I know, that's what we told her.
Yeah, she gets out there. She's sassy.
She is. You have been in several shows with Brian. How has it been to watch him play this? Kind of what we were talking about earlier tonight. How do you feel about him in this particular role? Because you guys have played husband and wife a couple times, yes? Mm-hmm. And then in Cactus Flower, he was your suitor, your pursuer.
Yes.
Senor Sanchez.
That's right.
Yes.
He was.
Is that the only ones you've done together? So Miracle Worker, you were Captain and Mrs. Keller. Mm-hmm. And then the short sketch Elephant.
Yes.
You were Mike and Sharon. And then you were Stephanie in Cactus Flower, and he was Senor Sanchez. Any other ones?
I don't think so.
Okay. So what has it been like what's your experience with him?
Well, as an actor who kind of analyzes the craft a lot, I mentioned this to you just recently, the fact that I have a lot of admiration because I know how challenging it is to take a role where you know you're going to be disliked by the audience. And that takes, again, we are pleasers. We want affirmation from the crowd. We want applause. And sometimes you even get booed if you play a character that is not likable. Yes. And so I have a lot of respect for the fact that he 100% wholeheartedly really tries to bring his character to life. He puts everything in it. He does such a great job knowing that it's not going to be like a crowd pleaser favorite.
And it's not even a character you love to hate. Like the Wicked Witch of the West. She's a bad person, but you just love her. You're like, that's fun. He is not. No. There's nothing redeeming.
No, he may get some boos.
He could
get some boos. The other thing is, I see the skill in there. Like, I see some of the nuances. Like, I told him this one day in rehearsal. I had the opportunity to see him play Judd in Oklahoma several years ago, and he did a really great job.
He did.
And that's another challenging character. And so I saw some of those same skills, some of those same qualities kind of coming through in Frank, where he's really bringing some of the physicality to it and some of the nuances, some of the mannerisms, to really make Frank believable.
Right. So do you feel like he is a believable villain?
I do.
Yeah. And Brian is someone who I'm pretty sure he says in his interview that he doesn't drink. So there's a scene where he's supposed to play drunk. So he had to actually watched videos of a funny character online to learn how in the world do they walk or stumble. And I said, usually to play a convincing drunk, you have to act like you're not. You don't lean into it. You act like someone who is trying to stay sober. Does that make sense?
Trying to pretend that they are together, but they're barely hanging on.
Yes. Yes. That usually makes it more convincing.
Yeah, I've had to play drunk once or twice, and it's really hard. I did not do a good job.
You always think that, though, and you're always good.
True. It's true.
So let me ask this question. Why did you want to be a part of this production? You mentioned earlier that you knew auditions were coming up, and this play and Gaslight were two that you wanted to try out for. What was it about this play that you said, I want to do this?
Well, I mean, part of it is because you'd written it along with your mom, and I think that's really awesome to be part of an original production. I'd had the opportunity to read it in advance, and it was funny. I knew it was something different and original, and I liked it. And I've said this before. I think my strength is in drama and in comedies. I just don't think I'm that funny. I think a lot of times I'm the straight man, and I make the other person funnier. But in this one, I saw it was a little farcical in places, and I knew it would growth. I knew it would push me a little bit to try to do some physical comedy and some things that are not really my style. So I thought it would be fun to give that a shot.
The funniest thing you do is when you realize it's the mayor and his wife at the door. That gets me every single time.
It's the mayor and his wife! And the other thing you do that's funny is when you go, Dylan!
Yeah, that's funny.
That was actually Mandy's favorite line. Is the way you say Dylan when she does that.
That's good to hear, because I always feel like I don't think I'm good at it.
No, it's your utter. It's like I've told Laura, the more contrast you can be in those earlier scenes, so the more refined and classy and put together and just, icy cool that you can be earlier, the more wonderful it is when you lose your mind later with the it's the mayor and his wife, and then just taking the spot with the dummy on the stairs. It's so funny. And,
well, good.
And just lying through your teeth about, no, it's fine. He's fine, probably. That timing.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough for me to not just really laugh. So in your opinion, what do you think the audience is going to be thinking about in the car as they drive home after the show? What do you think is going to stick with them?
I hope that they'll think about it on 2 levels. I think I would be thinking about it on 2 levels. I think part of me would be kind of analyzing like the craft of the show. Like I think I would be like, oh, well, the balladeers, what a nice touch. That was different. Or, oh, wow, the way this element or that element, kind of some of those farcical pieces. I would think they might be talking about kind of the craft of it. But then, again, I would hope they would also be talking about some of the themes. Like, I hope they would be talking about the characters and the relationships. That's something I really hope we do. I hope that our relationships are so strong that they leave talking about the fact that I really like these people. And of course, because I'm a woman, I'm going to say, I hope they really like the relationship between the women in particular, because, I've spent a lot of time with them. And I hope that they think about the power of relationships, because you've got negative relationships, but you have very positive relationships, and then ultimately the positive outweigh the negative, or they help to actually kind of save you from some of those.
I think they will. I think what you guys have done a wonderful job of is what I was aiming for, which is there's 2 ways that this could go. Either this play could be something very farcical and bigger than life, but I didn't want that. I wanted this to be real people that something outrageous happened to, and they reacted like real people. And we wanted to write characters who not only had good parts but had flaws. So we wanted them each to have something wrong with them. We wanted people to be real people. I don't want anybody, even Ruth, who's like almost the Gandalf, the wise wizard character. Nancy and I talked about that. Her character is kind of a manipulator and kind of a little bit bends the truth in some capacity. She didn't see it that way. But I said that's what we were going for, is just real people reacting in a real situation. I think you all have done very good at that.
Thank you.
It's like we said, it's like watching people in the living room. How are you and your characters similar? Or let's say it this way, how would you describe Carole?
I do think there's some similarities, probably some we've already talked about. I think that Carole is another one who has some insecurities, and so part of that, she's probably introverted too, and so part of her overcoming her introversion or her insecurities was modeling, or she has a little bit of that quality of being starstruck. She wants to be part of the Kennedys. She wants some affirmation by being accepted by different people, whether it would be people like the Kennedys or whether it's this group of women that she's, one of the more recent additions to. I hope that Carole's likable. I try to make her likable.
Oh, I think she is.
Okay. She's caring, but she also kind of wants her place.
She's still trying to find that place. I'd say she's more of a modern woman. You've got Melissa. She's a contrast to Melissa. So it's an opposite to that. You have Melissa, who is married, very devoted to her missing husband, and Carole, who's like, no. I'm a modern woman. I believe in divorce, and Melissa doesn't believe in divorce. So, but they're still able to be friends.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is the most rewarding part about working with an original script? And let's add on to that, and having access to the writers of that original script. Direct access.
It's exciting and fun, but also a little scary. On the positive side, to have the opportunity to do something that's never been done before, you feel like you're kind of on the inside, you're getting to create something, you're part of this group, there's a bond. Of course, having read the script before it even, came out, that's just an exciting thing to see something and really like it, and then actually see a little bit of the evolution, and then actually see it evolving as you're actually putting this play together, and to be part of it. That's just such a great opportunity. And of course, when when you respect and admire and you're friends with the people who wrote it, it's like so neat that you get to be part of some great achievement that they've done and again, help bring it to life. On the flip side, it is nerve-wracking, and especially in the beginning, because to know that this character was modeled after this woman who's actually in the room, and like to have it mentioned several times, and to be like, oh, I am never gonna be as skinny or as pretty or as classy as she is. And like, I remember the day that Laura asked, are we supposed to mimic these people? And I was so glad she asked, because I was like, I cannot. I mean, like,
no.
Oh, I know how wonderful she is, but I can't. I can't be like her. My character is going to be a little different because it's Candy.
Yeah.
So that was a relief when you were like, no, you were going to create this character. Here's our vision, and with even pictures, pictures of here's how we see her dressing, here's how we see her looking. But at the same time, you also have the freedom to still make her your own a little bit, and that was very freeing.
It's sort of like the inspiration is like a hanger. Like here's the bone structure, here's a hanger, and then you put the clothes on the hanger. That's a really weird metaphor, probably, but
that was kind of strange. I was like, okay, how did you just pull that out of your brain?
I was thinking about hangers. I don't know. But I think it's been good for you guys. It's been good for us because you all have informed who they've become. Like I'm now rewriting the dialogue and the stage directions for the final script, and I'm having our production intern check the staging, and it's not, are they doing what I wrote? Now it's, have I written what they're doing? If this was made into a movie, who would you cast as Carole?
Oh, goodness. I'm trying to think of an actress who's very classy, refined, and then could get really goofy.
Well, when I was thinking about it, I was trying to think of who is active right now. So I thought of the women from Ghostbusters. Oh. And I thought Kristen Wiig.
Oh, she would be good.
Yeah.
She would be good.
Who's your two?
I don't know why, but Sigourney Weaver came to mind.
Oh,
Really?
interesting. Because she's tall.
And Anne Hathaway, if she were older.
She's very elegant. But yeah, she still looks a little young. So what do you think makes a good scene partner?
I think a good scene partner is somebody who understands not just the words that are written in the script, but the intent and the emotions that are behind them. And then honestly still listens in the moment to what the partner says and reads the body language and reads the reactions and adjusts accordingly so that it just becomes real. It's not just I'm saying the next line. I am honestly listening to what you're saying and what you mean and what you want and what you need, and I am reacting to that. These people who, Laura Beth, they'll create these mannerisms.
The rash.
The rash that makes me laugh.
It does. Laura has decided that her character, Melissa, has a rash, and she's on her hand, and she scratches at it when she gets nervous. So we had a conversation where I told her I wanted her to take her character in a more anxious direction. She was doing a great job, but I said, I want to see what it would look like if you got a little more anxious with it. And I told her a particular movie character that I was thinking of. And so the next rehearsal, I saw her doing that, and I thought, oh, her hand is itching. And then I was like, no, she's added this. That's wonderful. Yeah. So it's just at certain points when she gets really nervous, she will scratch her hand in this little invisible rash.
Well, and she's determined 2 different places.
Oh,
yeah,
is it here?
She has 2 different spots, so she'll determine whether one place is itching or if it's the other in this particular moment.
That's wonderful.
Sometimes we just look at each other and I want to laugh.
Yes.
Because she's just so funny.
She really, really is.
She is.
I told her yesterday that I think this is my favorite role of hers, like between the lines. Just her mannerisms. And
Melissa, if I was able to be in the show, I would have wanted to be Melissa. I think she's in my wheelhouse of comedy, especially in the one scene where they do the thing, and I just love her losing her mind. It's just wonderful.
She does it well.
Yes. What's the last thing you do before you go on stage? Or your pre-show routine? Do you have one?
It is a thing. I must physically hold my script and look at it before I go on stage, or within the last 10 minutes or so. It is, I guess, a superstition. And I always think about energy. So a lot of times I'll take breaths and I'll kind of, bounce a little bit, get the blood flowing, and try to think about pacing and energy and, you know, kind of right before I go on stage. And also, one director taught me whenever you enter a scene, it's not the start. You're coming into the middle of something.
Yeah.
And to think about what is it that happens right before you come in, because you're entering that story. It's not just starting.
Right.
And so kind of trying to think about
I like that.
coming into that situation.
Did you ever see that show that was on for a very brief period? It may have only been 1 or 2 seasons. It was one of those summer shows called Thank God You're Here. It was exactly that. It was actors who would walk through a door and there was a scene in progress and they had no idea what was happening and they had to improv their way through it. So that one of them, the one that did the very best at it, it was the guy who was in Rocket Man. I can't remember his name, but he came into the scene and I think somebody was injured and they were like, oh, thank God you're here. He's bleeding. What do we do? And so he had to determine, okay, I'm a doctor. And he went into the scene and just did it. It was really cool. I would like to know, what is your proven method for learning lines? Because you kind of have, I don't know if you know it or not, but you have an amazing reputation for being able to memorize large quantities of lines very easily and very quickly.
Thank you. That's a compliment. It takes so much time. I physically write out every single line at least once, and then I tape record and I listen in the car a lot, and I'll leave the spaces so that it'll be like the cue line space so that I can say it and then I can hear it. And then, bless her heart, my sister
Sherry.
Sherry will run lines with me, and it takes all three. I need all three, because I get the immediate correction from Sherry. And actually, it's 4, because I am one of those physical people, so the more times I can do it on stage and I can associate my blocking and I can say those lines out loud, it'll just start going into my mind.
How long does it take you about to memorize the script, would you say?
Well, this is the sad part. I actually do better when I have more lines, because I will buckle down and I'll know I have to work. Sometimes if I don't have as many lines, I don't make myself work as hard, because I'll be like, oh, I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I work harder when I have more. My goal is to always put the book down before the deadline. If they tell me I'm supposed to be off book by a certain date, I'm going to try to have it at least a week or two in advance.
That's wonderful.
If I can.
That's a director's dream.
Well, it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, but it's good. You talked about the director that taught you walking into a scene. Do you have any other acting tips or advice for people who are maybe just starting out? Something that's a very basic thing that they can kind of hang on to, like...
I so appreciate character conversations. I know directors are busy and actors don't like to bother them. But, for example, you and I had a conversation, and it is so helpful to me, because feedback and character conversations, but the character conversations, like so many times as an actor, we go for the stereotype, or we go for the superficial response. Oh, this person's supposed to be angry, therefore I'm going to get super angry and yell a lot. And it's a very superficial response. But you don't think about, why is this character yelling? Why is this person really angry here? Is it because they're hurt? Is it because they're being defensive? Is it, and it changes everything. And also not having any levels. Oh, this is an angry character, so like through this entire play I'm just angry. But those character conversations are so important.
And what are you calling a character conversation?
When you have the opportunity to talk about, with the director usually, sometimes you can, having them with the other actors is really helpful too, but I really appreciate it with the director. Here's what I think this character is wanting in this moment, in this scene, or this is why I think she's behaving this way here. Do you agree? Where do you think she's coming from? Are you seeing it the same way? Here's how I've been playing it, because I'm seeing that she's feeling this here, but is that what you wanted? Is that what you agree that she's feeling? And, just having that chance to kind of talk it through.
Yeah, definitely, because I know after we had ours, I saw, I don't want to say improvement is the wrong word because you were already doing well, but I saw such a confidence in you in the next rehearsal. It was just like night and day. It felt like you had settled in and you knew who she was. And all it was that one conversation.
And well, that piggybacks them, because that's the other piece, is sometimes it's just affirmation and feedback. And I'm guilty of this. Like we had this conversation just recently where I said I need some feedback on this scene because I'm not feeling good about it. I don't know if this is what you want, or I don't know if it's funny. And I ride with that 2 or 3 weeks when all I have to do is ask.
Right.
So I think sometimes young actors or newer actors need to maybe know it's okay, to ask for feedback, to ask for some tips or some guidance. Maybe it's just affirmation.
Okay, let me ask something that's a little more personal to the two of us. People will maybe come into this situation. We are friends. We are very, very good friends. You have auditioned for me before. What do you advise people who are friends and maybe one friend is a director and you are auditioning? How do you particularly handle auditioning for a friend? You may or may not get the role. Now it happens you've always gotten the role with me, but you've not auditioned for me very often. So there may come a day where you may not. What do you advise people as far as how to handle friendship versus, is that making sense? Like if you're auditioning for a very close friend, how do you handle it?
A long time ago, I auditioned for a friend named, you know him, Dave Bornholt.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And he was feeling a little awkward. He was kind of a little bit newer to directing, and you know, and he was kind of like assuring me, you know, all my friends come in on an equal playing field. And I remember saying, no, that's understood, because that's the way community theater should be. That's the way any theater should be. But when you audition, it should be the person who is best for that role. And so I think it's a respect thing and it's an understanding thing that I wouldn't want somebody to give me the part just because I was their friend, because that's not fair to another actor. It's not fair to the play. And really, ultimately, it's not fair to the director or to me either.
I agree. Ultimately, it's not fair to you because if you're not right for the part, it could end up embarrassing you. And I think that as a person, you need to choose who is right for it, because friend or not friend, I don't want anybody to end up in a role that they don't belong in. And not that they would do something that would be embarrassing, but that it would be maybe they just don't fit it. And I don't want anybody to not be in something that they obviously don't fit. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes, absolutely. And it's also just not fair.
Yeah,
you know, it's
it's
just
not
fair.
I so appreciate that you feel that way. There are a lot of people that do not feel that way.
I guess this kind of is similar to like what advice would you give, but what is a piece of advice that you wish you had gotten when you first started acting, or like when you were struggling with a role? Or
A piece of advice I wish I'd gotten when I was younger. I think I may have already touched on that a little bit, but I do think I was very guilty of being more superficial with my character development, and that's something that I should have known as a writer and as an English teacher, is that it's all about character, right? It's all about character development. In fact, you know, they talk about when you write a short story, don't come up with the plot or the conflict first. Create this realistic, believable character and then get him or her into trouble. You know, like that's the way to write a great story. And so I think that's the thing, is so often we start with the superficial feelings or the superficial development of the character instead of understanding that it's about making them real first and their relationships real, and understanding motivations and needs and wants, and then a lot of the rest of it's going to fall into place.
I like that. Okay, we're going to enter into some rapid fire questions. And just give me the first answer that pops in your head. It doesn't have to be like, oh, that's not the truth. Just whatever comes to mind. What is your favorite meal?
Mexican food.
You do love nachos.
I do love nachos.
She loves her some nachos.
I actually like a lot of Mexican food.
What's the most quotable movie?
Oh my goodness. There's so many.
What's the first one that came to your mind?
For my husband, I would say Back to the Future. For myself, maybe Dirty Dancing.
Oh, yay! I do love Dirty Dancing. What's the best book you've read lately?
Okay, well, if you're going for trashy, Big Little Lies.
Oh, I didn't know that was a book.
Yes. If you're going for something deeper and better, I read something recently, and you'll have to come back to me because I can't think of the title.
Okay. We'll come back to that. What was your favorite cartoon as a kid?
Honestly,
Didn't watch cartoons?
I didn't watch a lot.
Did you watch television? What was your favorite television show?
I did like the Brady Bunch.
There you go.
Favorite. You know, do you understand the word favorite is so hard? Because then you have to like sort through 20.
I know.
Like if you just said, tell me one you like, I could do it.
Let's tell me one that you like. Tell me one cartoon that you like.
One cartoon, Scooby-Doo.
Oh, I like Scooby-Doo. I got away with it too if it hadn't been for you kids. If you could have one animal as a pet, not a dog or a cat, what would it be?
Not a dog or a cat.
Yeah, just something crazy.
It would be cool to have a horse.
That's about the third that we've had a horse.
third horse.
Yeah, third horse. We've had a pig, horse, Elephant? Have we had an elephant? Or is that just in my dreams?
Come on, how do you maintain and groom and like feed an elephant? See, I'm going for realism here. Like
One bite at a time.
For some reason, I thought you were gonna say parakeet. I don't know why, but I did.
You thought Candy's ideal animal would be a parakeet?
I don't know. My room was like, she's gonna say parakeet.
Do you have any historical heroes? Anybody that you look up to from the past?
I read a lot of nonfiction, especially recently, and a lot of them, this is crazy, are in the Revolutionary War. And of course, having seen Hamilton just recently, I don't know if he's a hero, but I did love that show.
Yes.
I've read a lot of the presidents, Adams, Truman, and so many of them are admirable. I don't know if I could pick one.
Did you ever get on that podcast that I told you about?
I haven't.
Oh, you should.
You're talking about the one.
Not 1865. No, this is another podcast called American Presidents Totalis Rankium.
Oh, yeah, you told me to listen to that one too. I haven't gotten that yet.
Will is actually on that one. He sort of goes through that one a little bit. Coke or Pepsi?
Oh, Coke.
If you could live in any decade, which one would you live in? Let's pretend like there's penicillin and there's all kinds of...
Okay, all right. Because, yeah, I don't want to risk my life.
Yes.
But I would have to go back and live during the Revolutionary time and meet these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But we're safe.
Yes.
We're not going to die.
100% protected, and treat me like a modern day woman.
Yeah.
Don't go tell me to like sit in the other room while y'all talk.
Yeah. You want to be in the room where it happens.
Yes, I do.
Like, I want to talk to George Washington, but like, I want to text him.
I'll do these. These tend to be our last two. So let me ask something a little fun and personal. What is your, because we have a long history together, what is your favorite memory for us as friends? Or let's say not favorite. What is one that comes to mind?
One that comes to mind is how much fun I had doing Cactus Flower with you.
Yeah.
I loved Cactus Flower.
Yeah.
That was an amazing experience, and that was my first time
Yes.
really, working with you like that.
Yeah, that was my first real big show I directed.
And I also got to see some of the insights into you as a crafts person. I guess I have to use that word because director, writer, actor, kind of all of those things, because you do a lot of like thinking aloud, or you'll kind of make transparent what it is that, the rationale behind some of your thoughts or your directions.
Right. I don't like to say do it this way. I like to say here's why I would like you to do it this way, or here's what I'm thinking. Because if I'm wrong, we can talk about it and say, well, no, I don't feel that person would do it this way. So I do like to say, here's why I think they would act this way.
Absolutely.
Well, we got to get some better memories because that was a long time ago.
Well, no, it was just one that came to mind.
I know, just one. I was thinking the
because it
same
was one
thing.
of the first ones.
Yeah, the same
And
thing.
I did love that role.
You were good in that. I'm still
I
trying to
love
get that on
Stephanie.
this docket for us. If you could tell the child version of yourself one thing, what would it be? So if you could go back and talk to the 10-year-old you, what would you tell her?
The same thing I'd tell this version of me. Have more confidence.
Yes.
Put it out there
Yes.
and quit worrying so much about what other people think. But it's so much easier to say than it is to do.
Absolutely. If you knew you could not fail, what would you do? I have what I think you're going to say.
I would write books and go act on Broadway.
In a
right?
musical.
I mean, yes, in a musical, of course.
Come full circle.
We did.
That satisfies my brain so much.
Yes, we did. All right. Anything else you want to mention?
Thank you both.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate everything y'all do.
Thank you.
Special thanks to Candy Thomas for appearing today on Getting Real, and to the sponsors of He Needed Killin, Cedar Lake, Starview Greenhouses, and United Citizens Bank and Trust.
This episode of Getting Real was executive produced, edited, and written by me, Ashley Raymer-Brown.
It was produced and co-written by me, Bree Heightchew.
Music was provided by Final Cut Pro, and artwork was created by Ashley Raymer-Brown. That's me, and Bree Heightchew.
That's me.
Getting Real is a separate entity from the Theatre Downstream. The thoughts and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of the Theatre Downstream or the sponsors of their shows. Thanks for listening.
Frank and Louetta, an unlikely pair. They were as different as can be. Frank was a two-faced, blowhard jerk. Louetta as lovely as a dream. And why she married him is lost on us all, and why she stuck around was hard to say. Louetta is too kind to ever say a word, and Frank wouldn't listen anyway. Here in the South, we have ourselves a saying, and it's true even if it sounds absurd. And you northern folk might think that we're simply playing, but when uttered we mean every single word. It's true, he needed killing, even if no one was willing. But things have a way of working out, and he needed killing, and killing's what this show is about. They say that a diamond is a lady's best friend, and in most cases that might just be true. But that can't be said of Louetta these days. She has the friends who know just what to do. Because ladies in the South, they keep to themselves and try to maintain their dignity. But when push comes to shove and the chips are all down, they might just commit a felony. Yes, they would. He needed killing, even if no one was willing. But things have a way of working out, and he needed killing, and killing's what this show is about. You know that things have